PCB board warping causes may not be quite the same, but in the end it's all to blame. The stress applied to the PCB is greater than the stress that the board material can withstand. When the stress on the board is not uniform, or the ability of each part of the board to resist stress unevenly, there will be a PCB warping result. The biggest source of stress in the reflow process is the temperature. The temperature will not only soften the board, but also twist the board. In addition, the factor of thermal expansion coefficient and the material characteristics of thermal expansion and cold contraction are added. This forms the PCB board warping. Then why do some boards warp differently? Step 1. Temperature. Generally, the circuit board will involve a large area of copper foil to be used as grounding. When these large areas of copper foil cannot be evenly distributed on the same circuit board, it will cause the problem of uneven heat absorption and heat dissipation speed. Circuit boards, of course, also expand and contract. If the expansion and contraction cannot be at the same time, it will cause different stresses and deformation. At this time, if the temperature of the board has reached the upper limit of Tg value, the board will begin to soften, causing a permanent deformation. 2. Through the hole. Today's multilayer plates have holes like rivets between the layers. Where there are holes, will limit the effect of cold expansion and contraction of the board. It will also indirectly cause PCB warping. 3. Weight. Generally, reflow furnaces will use a chain to drive the circuit board forward. That is, to use both sides of the board as the fulcrum to prop up the whole board. If there are overweight parts on the board, or the size of the board is too large because of its own weight, it will show a depression in the middle, causing warping. 4. The board. Basically, the V-cut is responsible for destroying the structure of the board, because V-cut is to cut grooves in the original large sheet of plate, so the V-cut area is prone to deformation. So how do we avoid this problem? Reduce the influence of temperature on the stress of the board. Reduce the temperature of the backward furnace or slow down the heating and cooling rate of the plate in the backward furnace. The occurrence of PCB warping can be greatly reduced. Adopt high Tg sheet A. The use of a higher Tg sheet can increase its ability to withstand stress and deformation. Increase the thickness of the board. If there are no thin requirements, the board can preferably use a thickness of 1.6 毫米, can greatly reduce the risk of PCB warping and deformation. Reduce the size of the circuit board and reduce the number of panels. Try to put the long edge of the circuit board as the edge of the board on the chain of the welding furnace. Can reduce the weight of the circuit board itself caused by the depression deformation. Use the router instead of the V-cut, or reduce the depth of the V-cut. Can maintain the structural strength of the board between the board